What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome back to the Nerdy Narrative, where today we're gonna have a little bit of fun. I've seen this concept on other channels and I totally ripped it off. This is not my idea at all. There are several other booktubers that do this. The gist of it is I am going to be sort of taste testing larger booktube channels. I myself generally stick to smaller channels, but I went to my top tier patrons and I was like, all right guys, I have this idea and I want you to help me with it. Give to me your favorite large channels. I didn't put a number of subscribers on it. I just wanted to know who the biggest booktubers were that they watched. I went through all of the channels given to me and I opted to choose the ones that I saw listed more than once, and I had 4. Chloe Bunny, Gabby Reads, Mike's Book Reviews, and Jesse the Reader. But what I did for this video is I went to all 4 of these channels and I looked for if they had a video that was best of 2022. I picked one book from each channel to read and review, a sort of taste test of this channel, if you will. We're gonna start with the channel Gabby Reads. I chose a book from her best of 2022 that's not even in a genre that I reach for, an author I've never read before. I thought it would be really fun because we do typically read the same books, and I thought, you know, this will be really fun to read this book. And that book is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil this and say I loved this book. Just like Gabby Reads said in her video, I am trash for this book. I will be reading more by Emily Henry. I've already got a hold at my library for her newest release. I believe it's called Happy Place. Title doesn't matter. I really enjoyed her writing style. I loved how she wrote her characters. I am all in. Right about the time I finished reading this, I saw the announcement on Instagram that they're going to be making a movie out of this, and for the first time ever, I will be going to the movie theater to see a romance movie. Y'all, you have to read this book. I think the way that this book is written, its premise, the characters, what they do, would appeal to any bookworm. Here's why. The 2 main characters are Nora and Charlie. Nora is a literary agent and Charlie is an editor, and oh my gosh, the banter is everything, which is what Gabby Reads said. She said she loved this book. I believe it was her number 3 book in her best of 2022. She loved the adorable banter. She related to Nora, the character, how she is written, how she's written to be very cold, how much she loves living in New York City. Nora is very close to her sister. I know that Gabby Reads has her sister on her videos a lot, so I kind of figured that was coming when I read this book. I thought, I bet Gabby loves this relationship between the 2 sisters. And the audiobook narrator for this one is Julia Whalen, who I love, and I would go for a run and I'll listen to the audiobook because I couldn't put this one down. I want to say I read this one in 2 days, and I would have read it in 1 if it was possible. I would be running and listening and these 2 would be having an exchange and I was just dying laughing. There was one time I had to stop and just like lean over and put my hands on my knees to try and catch my breath from laughing, and I know people thought I was crazy. You know, they would talk to each other in the book world lingo, and in certain situations they would even go so far as to be like, oh, now we're in the trope of where so-and-so does so-and-so. It was so funny. Was it a little bit predictable? Yeah, I didn't care. It was written so well. To add to what Gabby Reads was saying about the character of Nora being relatable, the way Emily Henry wrote Nora and how she felt about books, this author put into words feelings that I have had for years regarding reading that I've just never been able to say. She did it beautifully. It made me cry. There were several times I would read something and it would just bring tears to my eye. It was just made me emotional because I thought that is the most perfect way to put how I feel about these stories that authors write and share with us. It's just, I enjoyed this book immensely. If this is contemporary romance, I'm all in. I'm definitely going to be reading more. So thank you, Gabby Reads, for reading this book, putting it in your best of 2022, so somebody like me can come along and be like, you know what? I'm gonna see if this girl knows what she's talking about. I'm gonna pick up this book and read it, and it was a win. I haven't even told y'all what it's about yet. Nora is a literary agent. She works very, very hard. She is 24/7 available for the authors that she represents. Her sister, Libby, has become pregnant with her 3rd child, and Libby does something she's never done before. She asked Nora, can we just go on a little trip together, just the two of us before this baby is born, and just spend some time together. Turns out Libby wants to go to Sunshine Falls. The two pack up, and I want to say Sunshine Falls is in North Carolina. They go to this little town. Shortly after arriving in the town, Nora runs into an editor that she had one meeting with a couple of years prior, and the two just really rubbed each other the wrong way, but she decides to sort of have a little fun by emailing him and seeing if it's him. She's like, maybe it's not him. The humor, the wit, the sarcasm, just the quick way that they respond to each other is so good. I would absolutely recommend this book. You know, this is one of my favorite books I've read this year, and I've had to keep quiet about it because I didn't want to spill the beans over reading it. So I was trying to film this on the sly and have it as a sort of surprise. It was so hard to shut up about it. So here's hoping the other three I picked for this are gonna go just as well. For my next check-in, we'll be talking about The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This was on Jessie the Reader's Best of 2022. It's a fantasy. It's one that I owned. I purchased this one right when it came out. V.E. Schwab was an author I've been hearing about forever and ever. I've picked up a bunch of her books secondhand that are on my shelf. So I was excited to read a book that I owned, one that I bought because I was interested in, plus an author that was new to me that I was also interested in, and been buying her books and just never reading them. So when I come back, we're going to talk about this one and see if Jessie the Reader can be trusted. Back with my second book choice that I chose for this video of reading BookTuber's Best of 2022, and this is a large BookTuber that I myself chose. I wanted to have one that I chose for myself, and it's actually the BookTuber that I got this idea from. That would be Jessie the Reader. I went through Jessie's Best of 2022, looked through all of those books, and the last one that they showed was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. First, I wrote down some notes about what Jessie had to say about this book. V.E. Schwab's writing in this one was next level. It was perfection. Magic infused every word. Each word was delicately chosen. The characterization was amazing. The theme of wanting to leave a legacy. 200 stars out of 200 stars. Jessie understands not everybody would like this type of book, and that is the category that I fell in. I DNF this book. I don't have any problem with the way that it was written, except that I found it incredibly boring. The premise caught me in the beginning. I thought this is going to be a fantastically dark tale. And then we just started covering Addie's life, which is very, very long. If you haven't read this one or heard about it yet, it's the story of Addie LaRue who makes a deal with the devil to escape something that she didn't want to do. Basically, her life was not in her control, and she wanted to have control of her life. She wanted to be the one to choose what she did with her life. And in order to do so, she ends up making the deal with the devil. And what happens is, while she does get to live a long life, the payment for that is no one ever remembers her. As soon as they turn away from her, they instantly forget who she is. So the beginning of this is really exciting. It opens up with the events that lead Addie to make this deal with the devil, and once she makes the deal, that's where it falls flat, because then we start slowly making our way through all of the years of her life, all of the people that have forgotten her. It just became repetitive and boring, and I made it halfway and I just couldn't do it. It was not for me. This is also the first thing that I have read by V.E. Schwab, so it does worry me that Jessie said that the writing style for this one of hers was next level, because I'm looking at the other books I've been collecting by her and going, uh-oh, we might have a problem. I did get the audiobook for this one from my library to see if the audiobook narrator could save this for me, and unfortunately, while it is an audiobook narrator that I love, Julia Whelan, if you'll remember, she was also the narrator for Book Lovers, which I absolutely loved, and she just couldn't save it for me either. So definitely a DNF. This is going in the unhaul pile. And so I'm going to move on to the next book in this pile, which is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I will be right back here just as soon as I finish that one so we can chat and see how that one works for me. What's up, guys? I'm back with the third book that I'm going to feature in this video, and that is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, or is it Jillian Flynn? I believe this was also a movie, which I might check out the movie. No, I won't. I DNF this book. This one I pulled from the Best of 2022 video by the channel Chloe Bunny. Chloe loves this one. She said it was incredible, iconic, super entertaining, well written, well crafted, and brought to light some very important things that happen in our society that should be discussed. I never got to any of that. I made it about 40% of the way through this one and I quit. I hated the two main characters so much. They were so annoying. So again, I go to the audiobook thinking Julia Whelan can save this one for me. No. And so the two main characters are husband and wife. The husband's point of view is present tense. The wife's point of view is past tense. So he's talking about their relationship where it is now. She's talking about when it began. And they have two completely views on how their relationship was start to finish. I can understand how that could happen. I'm just confused how people were married for 5 years and never had any type of discussion to realize that they had completely different views on the nature of their relationship. But what made me DNF this book is because I actively hated these characters. I didn't want to be in either one of them's point of view. The wife, Amy, was so sickeningly perfect. She didn't see herself that way and she just came across so spoiled. I couldn't do it. And Nick was so self-centered and he just felt so sorry for himself that he got laid off. I mean, Nick, it happens. You pick yourself up and you move on. You don't get mad that the world changed. That's just how it happens. You gotta change with it. I don't like change either. I hate change. I am a creature of habit and routine. But I understand that I have to make some small changes to be able to keep up. And it's just, was it well written? I don't know. Just my hate for these characters. I didn't even care to even peek ahead and read the end or look for the twist that I think comes. All I can tell you is Nick and Amy are married. I think they've been married 5 years. They both end up getting laid off. They go back to Nick's hometown to take care of his ailing parent, his mom, I think, who does end up passing away. Nick and his twin sister open up a bar. They go in business together. And then one morning after Nick gets to work, a neighbor calls and is like, hey, your front door is standing wide open. Not like cracked, like somebody came out to take out the garbage and is going to go right back in, like wide open. And Amy is missing. It wasn't written in a way that had me intrigued. I didn't care. I didn't care if she was missing. I didn't care if she walked out on the dude. I didn't care if she was murdered. I just didn't care. In fact, if I could have reached in the book and killed both of those two characters, I would have done it myself. So, for those of you keeping score, so far, Book Lovers was a complete success. Love that book. And then The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and now Gone Girl have both been DNFs. Will this video be saved by another rousing success? The final book is The Forgetting Moon by Brian Lee Durfee, and I pulled that one from Mike's Book Reviews Best of 2022. So as soon as I get a chance to read that one, I'll come back and update you, and we'll see how this goes reading the Best of BookTuber's 2022 list. What's up, guys? I am back with the final read for this little project for this video, which is The Forgetting Moon by Brian Lee Durfee, and I pulled this one from the Best of 2022 video from Mike's Book Reviews. That was the final larger channel that my patrons said they watch all the time. Mike is someone I have been watching since before I started BookTube, and so I kind of felt like, you know what, Mike and I have the same taste. His choice will be the one I'll end on because we have so many books we love in common. I feel like this is a sure thing until I started reading it, and I did not jive with it at first, and I thought, oh no, am I gonna DNF another book? Like, this was not, I was gonna just scrap the whole video if that was the case. If I ended up not liking this one, y'all would have never seen it, would have never happened. But I think what I didn't jive with was the way the author introduced their characters, because once we got past all of that, I was in love. Absolutely in love. I can already tell you it's going to be one that I will reread, and even if I don't see this happening, this is a completed series. Even if I don't like the rest of the series, I would still reread this book because it was that good. Now, what did Mike's Book Reviews say about The Forgetting Moon? The first thing he said was, it was everything he looks for in fantasy. Absolutely agree. Incredible characters. Oh my gosh. Once you get past the descriptions part, Brian Lee Durfee can write some characters. Oh my goodness. Which is another fun fact. For those of you who may not be aware, Brian Lee Durfee is also a booktuber who I've been also watching for years. Not for recommendations, but for entertainment purposes, because he is absolutely hilarious. And I thought there would be more of his humor in his book, but in this one, there is humor, but it's not as much as I was thinking it was going to be. Incredible World. Absolutely, yes. And the way that, so the incredible characters in the incredible world, you can talk about those together. It's a story that is told from multi points of view. The characters that we're going to follow around, at least in this first book, because it's all I've read so far, they're in different areas of the 5 Isles. And I'm going to tell you something, y'all, if you pick this up and read the back of the book, it tells you nothing about the incredible journey you're going to go on with this story. Anyway, I digress. It's from all over the 5 Isles. You're going to get some characters that are good characters. You get some characters that are bad characters. You get some characters that you're just not quite sure what they are, and maybe they don't even know. They just have their own agenda that they're following. Let's see what else we got here. Magical artifacts and relics. Yes, loved those. Not just the magical artifact relics, but the prophecy surrounding those. They all followed the way and truth of Lejean, and they await the fiery abomination. No, absolution. Fiery absolution. And it's been this way for centuries, and then all of a sudden these artifacts, these stones that were supposedly sent to heaven with Lejean are on the 5 Isles. So the religion is just getting turned on its head, and everybody's like, wait a minute, we've believed this all of our lives and now we're finding out it's not true. I love when that happens in a story. All right, what else we got? We have a good questing trope. Love that. If you like A Song of Ice and Fire, you will like the series. Yeah, definitely agree with Mike. And then my last note, what does that say? Amazing lore. Yes! It's so in-depth. It's insane how involved this book is. At the beginning of each chapter, there's a header. Most of them come from The Way and Truth of Lejean. There were a time or two, the Scrolls of Mia, I believe, were quoted. They just give us a little insight into what the people of the 5 Isles have believed and followed all of these years. But yeah, 100% agree. Highly recommend this book and Book Lovers. So I had 2 hits, 2 misses. I can't be mad at that. So you all let me know in the description below, have you read these 4 books? Which ones did you like? Thank you all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one.